Hi, this is Craig for Digital People Folk, and today I want to bring you cloud storage for WordPress on GCP. So this is for people that would like to use cloud storage on Google Cloud Platform for their WordPress site instead of using the storage space on their instance so that they could basically expand and have up to an unlimited amount of storage space. First, in what scenario would you actually use cloud storage? And some of the scenarios that I thought about are maybe you see that you're a photographer and you want to have a lot of high resolution images. They might take up a lot of space, and you definitely want to have more storage than in the normal instance. Perhaps you also might make a buddy press social networking site where your community may upload a lot of images and you'll go over the initial storage space. Also, maybe you might make an e-commerce site with WooCommerce. You may have vendors that may do a lot of uploads of their products and you don't know how much space you may actually need. Another example is maybe you make a video site. You want to host your videos locally instead of going the route of uploading onto YouTube. Or maybe the videos and photos, you think that in the future you may want to have your photos analyzed by machine learning. It may be easier to connect your storage bucket to TensorFlow or other APIs instead of having your images or video within the instance's storage space. And last is maybe you're thinking about SEO tactics and you believe that if you host your images more multi-regionally, that your site will actually load faster. So that might be some scenarios that people may think about and why they'd like to use cloud storage. Now, I do have to say that with this video, it is not the recommended procedure, everything that I'm going to show. If you're going to use SSL certification with your domain. And by that, I mean if you have an HTTPS with your domain, everything that I'm going to show you may not work with that set up. Just a note on that, there is another YouTube channel that I really believe is doing a really great job called One Page Zen, and they do show how to create the SSL certifications on Google Cloud Platform. So I found this this site last year when I was making my publishing network, and I realized that they actually answered a lot of the things that I struggle with. I didn't use all of their solutions. I actually figured a lot out myself, and I know that I wanted to create videos, but this is another site that you can look at for Google Cloud Platform videos on, and they really seem like they're in tune with making solutions for real problems. So also, I'd like to point out that cloud storage is separate cost from your WordPress instance. So the previous video that I made, we made a WordPress instance via Bitnami, and if you just make an instance from Click to Deploy directly from Google or another service provider within a cloud launcher, I just want you to know that the costs are separate doing these techniques. And I also want you to think about, what kind of site are you going to make, and maybe forecast how much your cost may be. So, for example, let's say that you're going to create a social media site, or an SNS, and you may estimate that possibly your users may upload 15 megabytes of images or maybe 300 megabytes of video. I'd like you to start calculating those numbers out. Average of 2 images a day by users, whether it's 50, 500, or 5,000. What you can do is look at what's going to be your cost by month. So, for example, let's say that it's 150 gigabytes. There is a calculator that you can go and look at the cost of your storage. So here's the calculator. And let's say, for example, that I'm going to host my images in Oregon. And let's say I want to do multi-regional. So 150. So here's a calculation that I was doing before. And I'll add to the estimate. And that's only about $3.90 per month. But let's say that I'm making a video site, and I think that if you had about 500 users and they're adding 2 videos per week, I think that this would be a very good site if you have 500 users doing 2 minutes of videos twice a week. But your costs for doing so, and again, let's do Oregon, multi-region storage. It'll cost you about $31, and that's about 1,200 gigabytes of storage space. And I'm estimating on the high end, so I definitely don't think that it's going to change based on your users, but this is how you do your calculations. So next, before taking the steps to add in this plugin, I'd like you to make sure that you set up Search Console with your domain and also Google Analytics with your domain. And it is a lot better if you add in the domain of Search Console and Google Analytics to your project so that it's an administrator. That way that verification can happen. And as I'm putting in this plugin, I'll talk through why I made those recommendations. So first, all the next steps are assuming that you already have a WordPress instance already set up and your domain is already connected. Next, what you want to do is go to your backend on WordPress, click Add New Plugin, search for Stateless, or search for Google Cloud Storage. And this is the plugin we want to use, WP Stateless by this company, Usability Dynamics. So install that and activate. So after installing the plugin, you'll see the screen for the Get Started Now with WP Stateless. Now, on my WordPress site, I've already set up Google Analytics, and also I've already verified my site into Search Console. Now, my site is on maintenance mode. What I've done already is I've taken the tracking ID already from Google Analytics, and I put that into my back end and maintenance, so that even though my site is in maintenance mode, any crawler can see what's the Google Analytics ID. And that's very important to do before you start this process. So before we get started with WP stateless, I'd like to take one step back and go back to Google Cloud Platform and do a little bit of setup. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up your actual bucket. And let me just delete this one that I've already made. So what I want to do is make sure that you're in the project, in the correct project, and click create a bucket. So what I want to do is I want to name this bucket media.digitalpeoplefolk.com. Now, normally you can't have a domain name as your bucket name unless you have it verified. So this is why I suggested that you do a verification in Search Console and Google Analytics first, so that this can scan and see the connection that the domain and the email address connected is in sync and verified. So you can choose multi-region or regional. Regional would be if you believe that your storage is just going to run in maybe one country. Maybe you're in Taiwan, or you're in Australia or New Zealand, or let's say that you're in Brazil or Venezuela. So that would be more of a regional if you think that you're just going to concentrate on serving media, or most of your traffic is just going to come from one area. Multi-regional would be in case you believe that you're going to have traffic from maybe all over the world or several different countries. Let's say you're creating content in Chinese, or let's say Spanish, where it's definitely a lot of different countries that speak those languages. So that might be one of the reasons why you want to use multi-regional. So I'll go with United States for this. Hit create. And so it's made my bucket. After that, you need to go and set up that subdomain right there. So see that it's media.digitalpeoplefolk.com. That currently does not exist. So you need to go to network services, go to cloud DNS, and we need to set this up. In my previous video, I showed you how to create a basic zone. So we want to go back to that zone, and that's where we're going to set up the subdomain. So there is a page that helps us with this Cname Redirects within Google Cloud Platform, and it's a little confusing because it has name, type, and data. But when you first go into Cloud DNS, you don't see data. So reading the documentation could be a little bit confusing, but the reality, the only thing we need is this URL right here, c.storage.googleapis.com. We go back to the zone, and we want to add a new record set. And the type is going to be Cname. When we go up to the DNS name and put media, so that's going to be where we get that media.digitalpeoplefolk.com. And for canonical name, we want to put in this c.storage.googleapis.com, and then hit create. And this will be that redirect that will point your media to this subdomain. And so that instead of your images being under googleapis.com, it'll be under your domain. And after that, I recommend that you go and start the process for WP stateless, and it'll be a lot quicker. So get started now. If you're already logged into your domain, it's easier. So I want to select the project, and this is DigiPeopleFolk videos. I selected the wrong. Okay, so after I select the right project, I'll see the buckets show up. And since I created the bucket directly through Google Cloud Platform Console, this is already configured with the location. And if you basically don't want to, you can create your cloud bucket directly through this admin also. Then after that, hit continue. Okay. And before we actually go and upload something, let's go to the settings. And I've already configured this and deleted it a couple of times, so my settings are actually saved. Generally, it'll be on CDN, which means that your instance, your WordPress VM, and your storage buckets will have the same images, so that the system will basically copy from the local instance to the storage buckets. But I want it to be stateless, which basically means that I'm only uploading images to Google Cloud storage buckets, and that bypasses the VM storage space. Also, we need to put in the name of the domain name. So I want to scroll down, and in domain name, you want to put that as the same name as your storage bucket. And the only way you can get that verified is if you already verify via Search Console or Google Analytics. And that's why I suggested doing that step first, because these two names have to match for this to work. And if you look at this preview, my images should be serving from media.digitalpeoplefolk.com, etc. And if you did not do that, it would be at storage.googleapis.com. So after this step, click to save your settings, and then let's test this out. So I'll go to add in an image. I just downloaded some image. Sorry if this is somebody's image. I'm just using it for testing purposes. So we go to edit, and not this permalink, but this link here in Google Cloud Storage. So let's look at this in a new tab and see how it looks. And there we have it. The image actually loaded. This is now on cloud storage, and we go back to cloud storage to check if it's uploaded. So storage, go to browser and look at media.digitalpeoplefolk, and there we have the same folders, and there we have it. It's uploaded with the thumbnails, and you can see that even though I estimated very high specs with images, these are only a couple of kilobytes. So there it is. The setup for cloud storage for WordPress on Google Cloud Platform. Hope you liked the video. I plan to make more, and the channel will be videos about a lot of the tutorials that I go over, some of the plugins for WordPress that I use, and definitely online marketing, since that's my job. But everything that I make in these videos are products that I genuinely use and recommend to people. And they're all my personal opinions. So if this resonates with you, please subscribe, look at the videos, share, and especially if it helps you or someone you know. Thank you. I'm Craig for Digital People Folk. Have a great day.